This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by North Shore Community College. If you have the will to attend college, we have the way for you to earn your degree.
Good morning and welcome to LCTV News. I'm Dani Vittori, and this week, Black history took center stage, several athletes took the next steps in their career, and education was a focus. We have another double Lowdown week for you with Creative Collective and the North Shore Juneteenth Association. Here is the news for Friday, February 17th, 2023. Mayor Jared Nicholson is seeking applications for the Lynn Parks Commission. This is a volunteer position, and the main role of the commission is to oversee the parks, playgrounds, and golf course, as well as set rules and approve activities done at these places. Applicants with knowledge and/or experience in recreational activities, sports, cultural celebration, and groundskeeping are encouraged to apply. This includes planners, landscapers, coaches, and park managers, to give examples. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has announced they will now cover the costs of Massachusetts GED and HiSET initial tests plus an additional 2 retakes. By removing the cost, the state hopes to eliminate the financial barrier that has kept candidates from completing the tests. According to Governor Maura Healey, quote, "No one should be held back from earning their equivalency credential due to costs. This investment will encourage more Massachusetts adult learners to continue their education, earn their credential, and begin higher education or enter the workforce," end quote. The free HiSET tests began the week of February 6th, while GED tests have been offered since September of 2022. As part of Black History Month, there was a community conversation focused on the African American experience in Lynn, put on by Prevent the Cycle and the Afro Diaspora Committee. It was held on Thursday the 9th. Members of the community participated in a group discussion, sharing their various stories and beliefs. Here is more.
So this began as, how do we start talking about the different layers of the Afro diaspora? Who exists, who's within this diaspora, and how do we bring them together? So these community conversations stemmed from that, beginning with the Afro Diaspora Festival that we had last September, and going on with the series of 4 sessions so far this year.
And Lynn is extremely unique as we sort of move forward in the conversations, but Lynn is unique tonight as we have that conversation. But Lynn is already placed in history because Frederick Douglass lived here, right? And there's a direct link to that level of struggle, self-determination, to speak your truth that I think Lynn has, and we're just hoping to uplift that.
Especially when you look at Lynn and how it's transformed over the years, we really want to take this time to make sure that we're building bridges, honoring those who paved the way for new immigrants like myself to come here and actually be able to live in communities.
We are in a crisis right now in this country that is doing a lot to ignore, erase, not acknowledge the African American history in this country, and the African American history is American history.
And each session is tackling different topics. So today we are focused on the African American experience in Lynn and the U.S. And we're talking with community members about, the array of changes that have happened and their perspective on those changes.
In honor of Black History Month, Citizens is looking to generate awareness, education, and a celebration of Black culture by awarding 8 scholarships. Eligible applicants must be currently enrolled or planning to enroll in a historically Black college or university. This unique challenge is made up of 4 digital lessons and a capstone essay where students outline plans for year-long conversations about Black history. The recipients will receive a $5,000 scholarship and a brand new Apple MacBook Pro. The purpose of the challenge is to share the experiences of Black Americans and their stories throughout history to inspire students. Last week on the 9th, the Essex Media Group held their Persons of the Year award ceremony. Lynn firefighter John Maloney was honored for a rescue he and his company made back in January of 2022. Take a look.
I think you all are familiar with the story of firefighter John Maloney and the life he saved, the personal risk he took to his own well-being, the performance under pressure.
Person of the Year for the City of Lynn. When you think about 102,000 people, you're number 1. So we want to thank you very much for your service to the city and dedication. And we know, as you pointed out, it's not done just by yourself, but your family is with you every day and the things that you do on behalf of the folks in the City of Lynn. So we can't thank you enough. We couldn't have done it to a more deserving person. Congratulations, and we wish you the best of luck.
The existence of a true hero in our president. So it is my honor to announce the Essex Media Group Person of the Year for the City of Lynn, John Maloney.
All right, John. We're humbled and honored to receive this award. I'd like to thank members of the Lynn Fire Department for their continuous dedication, service to this wonderful city, especially members of Ladder 1 that day. Suicide is a public health emergency. According to the CDC reports in 2020, 2.2 million adults had serious thoughts about suicide. 3.2 million made a plan on suicide. 1.2 million attempted suicide. If you know somebody depressed with mental health, around they're 85 years old, that seems disengaged, please have a conversation with them. You never know, it might save their life. Truly humble, thank you.
In March, the MBTA will be making several changes to the commuter rails and lines. The Newburyport-Rockport commuter rail will be replaced with shuttle buses from Swampscott to North Station from March 20th to the 28th. Bicycles are not allowed on the shuttles, and the regular commuter fares will be collected on the route. Extra MBTA workers will be around to assist passengers. Any additional changes to the MBTA schedule will be announced in advance and posted on their Twitter page. There will be no changes the week of March 18th due to an expected increase in travel for St. Patrick's Day. For those who work or travel in Boston, the Green Line trolley service will be replaced by shuttle buses between North Station and Government Center the week of March 12th. Monday the 13th, there was a presentation of Black history in Lynn to kick off a week of Black history celebrations at City Hall. Danica Thurston, the executive director of the Lynn Museum, gave an overview of early Black history in the city. Here is more.
Opportunity to kick off Black History Month. I want to thank Faustina and the entire committee for the amazing work on organizing. I think it's going to be a tremendous program in the next couple of weeks. We are very fortunate to have a wonderful Black community here in the city of Lynn, and it's really important that we use these opportunities like Black History Month to better get to know that community, to amplify that community.
Methodist congregations became a force in Lynn in the 19th century. With the establishment of the Methodist Abolitionist Society in 1835, Methodists attracted many prominent Lynners who came out from the congregational and Quaker churches and institutions that they still viewed as complicit with oppression. We are truly Lynn's historical institution. We began as a Lynn Historical Society in 1897, so we turned 125 last year. But the Untold Stories exhibit was a project that started before my time. I came on as director in October of 2019. The project itself started in 2018 when museum staff were noticing that a lot of the young people that were coming through our spaces weren't really connecting with the materials and the stories that were on view. So we made a conscious effort to diversify our offerings. Not only working with historical documents in the museum, but working with the community. So Untold Stories was truly a collaborative exhibition process. We had members from the community work on the exhibit committee, volunteering their time, and we also hosted 2 story share days where we invited members from the community to share photographs, artifacts, textile materials, and their own oral histories around Lynn's Black history.
The city is drafting a letter to the Archdiocese of Boston to delay the sale of St. Mary of the Sacred Heart Parish's convent building to a sober house called Chelsea's House. The motion put forth by City Council President Jay Walsh was unanimously approved by the council. It stipulates that the letter will request the sale be put on delay until the issues of the neighborhood and parents are addressed. The property is in close proximity to Sacred Heart Elementary School, and Westlanders claim they were uninformed of the sale. Monday the 13th, Sacred Heart held a meeting for parents and teachers where participants expressed concern over the lack of communication during the sale process. The biggest issue, according to Walsh, is the proximity of the sober house to the elementary school. The Senior Center hosted Wellness Wednesday on the 15th, where physicians from Mass General Brigham offered free blood pressure checks, flu and COVID vaccinations, and at-home COVID tests. Take a look.
So today we're having a wellness event here at the Lynn Senior Center, and our goal is to promote heart health in the city.
So our community caravan today has been invited to participate in this wellness event while the seniors are playing bingo to highlight the different advantages to taking their blood pressure, which we'll be providing today, as well as education on how to use a at-home blood pressure cuff, and as well as learning about the different resources available to them to manage that their hypertension. And we also have lots of different gifts for some trivia that we're going to play for heart health.
So we are. So COVID is still here with us, and I think that it's very important that apart from washing our hands and taking strategies to mitigate the spread of COVID, that we also test if we have symptoms. So we're providing test kits. There's flu shots that we're offering, as well as COVID-19 booster doses.
Yeah, and that's what we provide on our community caravan throughout Lynn and Salem and Peabody. We continue to take blood pressure to highlight hypertension services, but also the COVID and flu shot.
The Kings Beach Steering Committee has requested $25 million from the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs. This money would go towards disinfecting the water at Kings Beach, which has been flooded with bacteria discharge for many years. They have discussed 6 different options and decided that UV disinfection is the most cost and time effective. The committee is made up of city and state officials from Lynn and Swampscott, Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, and the Lynn Water and Sewer Commission. Based on the letter, Kings Beach only had a 68% rating, meaning it was unsafe to swim in more than 1 out of 5 days in 2021. Both Lynn and Swampscott have also been using illicit discharge detection and elimination, IDDE, to identify poor connections in the drainage system. However, UV disinfection would still be necessary to make Kings Beach swimmable for longer periods of time. To read the full letter, visit lyntv.org. At noon on the 16th, Firefighters and police responded to a 2-alarm fire on Sachem Street. It was first seen in the attic before spreading to the right part of the house, forcing firefighters to fight from the exterior of the building after attempting to create more ventilation inside. At the time, 4 occupants were home in the 6-unit condo building, but all were evacuated safely and no injuries were suffered. According to Fire Chief Dan Sullivan, they are unsure what started the fire, but it appears to have originated in the attic before traveling outward to other parts of the building. Footage was provided by LCTV member Calvin Anderson. First up on the Lowdown, we had 2 members of Creative Collective to discuss their mission and projects they are working on in Lynn. Here is the Lowdown. Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on 2 guests from Creative Collective, Tia Cole and Michelle La Poetica Richardson. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So I will ask you real quick, if you have to sum up what Creative Collective does as an organization, how would you do that?
Oh, this is a big one.
Yes.
So mainly we're a business program. We support entrepreneurs, nonprofits, individuals who are creatively aligned. We give them technical assistance, business development resources, access to funding, and things like that. Really just connecting the dots between everybody.
Y lo hacemos en inglés y en español. It is something that I feel like is very important as well. A lot of times people don't access these resources and these you know, things that just are accessible to them because of language. Yeah. So I think that that's important too, that when the Creative Collective comes into play, you know, they always seek to make sure that all the barriers are obliterated. Is it language? We'll find somebody that can interpret for us. You know, is it funding? You know, we'll find something, you know, resources. So there's always a will to take it to that next step.
And the other side of it too is we also supply them marketing and kind of through this lifestyle brand that we have called Creative North Shore, and that where we promote the businesses, but we also promote like things that are happening and events that are coming up, and like look at what we just did in Cape Ann, like that kind of stuff all throughout the North Shore.
So you kind of promote like the whole package sort of deal.
All of the area, arts and culture is really underrepresented when it comes to
and underassisted when it comes to a lot of things.
But specifically marketing, we always see a whole. So to be able to create that story for everybody and tell that story, because everyone's too busy making art or, you know, making change to necessarily tell everybody what's going on.
So leading into that, I will ask, Tia, you're the special projects manager. So what is your main role?
So I like a challenge, and I don't like doing the same thing all day. So what that means is that when we find opportunities that could benefit the creative workforce in our businesses, we kind of facilitate them. So that can look like Lynn Side Out, we just did in downtown Lynn in partnership with the city of Lynn. And with that, we put together a whole team of an MC, performers, musicians,
all local,
DJs, face painters.
En inglés y en español, because the hosting, everything, the food offered, the programming, the materials that were handed out, everything was multilingual. You know, so that was huge. You know,
and that was to represent City Hall. They wanted to kind of get out into the city and really talk to the people. So we know that the creative workforce, these creative businesses, these amazing performers, those are the people that are really good at sharing everybody else's stories. So how do we connect them to a job opportunity to work for, you know, like a municipality or something that maybe somebody else wouldn't have thought of hiring them, or utilizing those creative elements?
Yeah, see a need, fill a need type of mentality. You know, like every client is different. Every member of the collective is different. A lot of those of us that are working in the collective came to the collective, you know, through a gateway that wasn't gate kept. You understand?
Yeah.
So when you have, you know, a lifetime of closed doors and ungained access, and you come across an entity because basically the Creative Collective is an entity, you know, an entity that not only says your name, but says your name in rooms where you wouldn't need, that you don't even know exist. You know, I have my name. Was I Michelle Poetica before the Creative Collective came into my life? Yes. Mm-hmm. Am I more me now because of the collective? Absolutely. You know, and I'm not the only one. Through the pandemic, I think it's important. This is how me and Tia met. Okay. So, through the mutual aid fund that was created here. Like this, the way this community came together, you know, in one of the worst times of history, you know, and just made things happen. You know, we worked together to help the greater all, and it was beautiful. And the collective kind of does that. They work with all for the greater good of all. Like if a municipality, like Lynn wanted to do the best to outreach into the community, to get into the community and get the community to know the city and the departments. So here comes the collective, knowing where all the touch points are. They know the artists because they've worked with us for a whole plethora of other things. They know the small businesses because the small businesses are either members or somebody that somehow is able to provide a service to the collective or to a collective member. And it all comes together.
We always try and champion the underdog.
Yeah.
Who are you not thinking about in this situation, and how can we grab them and pull them in?
Yep.
Listen, being in a creative field, I'm definitely all for that. I definitely love that idea. And you were talking about how much COVID changed you, and then as you're looking forward, you also mentioned that you had been doing a rebranding for downtown, and kind of what are you thinking looking forward?
So that was really exciting because I think everybody's always like, well, we should change the narrative of Lynn, and we should do this and we should do that. So we were lucky enough to be able to be hired to do that work. We were selected, and that's exciting. So having the opportunity to go out into the community, hold meetings with different artists, talk to people one-on-one, and really find out how do we authentically represent the downtown now that there's obviously been so much change over the last 10 years. Wow. I think the last marketing plan was like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So what is the city now? And we worked with Dani Spencer to be a creative consultant as well.
Who is a force to be reckoned with. This child, I mean, she's amazing. Like she's just, I love to listen to her talk because she's just got that fire that so many people have sometimes sadly at one point had. You know, until, you know, everybody, you know, did their best to thwart the flames. So this is another reason why the collective, and I'm always going to bring it back to the collective, you know, because the collective is doing their utmost best to fuel everybody's fire and make sure that everybody gets, you know, their goals and their dreams. I mean, I performed at the Cabot Theater, you know, in Beverly. I grew up in the North Shore. I'm a Peabody kid. So I grew up in Peabody, and when you're from the North Shore, you're from the North Shore. So Peabody, Salem, it's all connected. Oh yeah. And for me to walk on the stage of the Cabot Theater and perform with my afro and my afro pick, and you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens when people say your name in rooms that you don't know happen. That this is what happens. So this is where, for me as an artist, the creative collective is so important. You know, I think it's important that these things are said, you know. Small businesses, like over here on Union Street, the TDI project.
I haven't finished.
Okay. I get in my feelings.
All right. Okay. We worked with Dani Spencer to create the logo and stylize the color, really just based on how she felt about the downtown and what she saw and like her experience in being here. And she's, you know, got murals of her face downtown.
Yes. I have seen those. I got you.
Yes. And we worked with a young entrepreneur, Miguel over there is amazing. He has such impeccable graphic design, videography, photography. He's a member. So one of the reasons it's great when we get to work on these projects is, again, we're just kind of uplifting the voices. I wasn't necessarily going to go in and create a whole brand kit for the city of Lynn myself, because when one person does that job, it doesn't end up representing everybody, right? So
Right.
we have to make it a team collective, and making sure that we're using people that live or work in the downtown and figure it out to be able to tell the story of what it is. So that's exciting, and Lucretia just did a little story in the paper about, you know, how it's coming up, and I can't wait to see how it gets implemented and utilized in the future, because I'm really proud of our city. Yeah.
No, it is. It's amazing the change that's been happening just everywhere in Lynn, everywhere. That's all not all, but that's what I just see everywhere, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love getting to see that.
All these change makers are from here.
Oh, it's all local.
They're from Lynn, yes.
And I think it's important. What I'm seeing now is we work with Mass Development has come in with their TDI stuff, and there's a Creative Cities project. And what we see when we get to be in these rooms is there's a lot of listening and understanding that yes, we've changed a lot, and yes, we've changed really fast. But how do we still honor the authenticity of the community while we do it? So it's great to hear that narrative being spoken in these rooms that are really making the decisions on how our future is going to be.
And I'll have one last question for you, as much as I wish we could just keep going. This is so interesting. You mentioned that businesses, people are members. Yeah. So how would you get involved if you are a young artist or if you are a business, municipality who wants to get involved?
Yeah, so you can reach out to us through our website. It's probably the best because we have a whole flow for it. But if you're a business that is trying to find their support but isn't really sure where they fit in or where they go, we're obviously very inclusive, I think is one of the things that we always talk about in all aspects, whether it's, you know, race, gender, you know, age, everything. We really try and fill that and hold that space for everybody as a business owner.
And there's a development component there and an educational component there that comes with the collective as well. So a lot of these businesses aren't really there yet, you know, because of lack of awareness or access or whatever it may be. So the collective will come in with a plan, you know, that will help them succeed, you know. So this is also important, and they educate the member or the person as they go.
And so you can go to the website or you can come to a meetup. We do networking events roughly twice a month, depending on, you know, if it's Christmas. We didn't do one last month. And just shooting us an email. If the website's overwhelming, if the networking seems a little scary, but you just want to know what's going on or how you can participate or how you can learn more, shooting us an email at the info@creativecollectivema.com always works too.
Great. Those all sound great. And thank you for coming on to talk about it too, to spread the message.
I appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we will see you next week with more guests. On deck, the sports update. David Brown Jr. of St. Mary's signed a national letter of intent to play college football at Bentley University. Brown scored all 4 touchdowns in the Spartans' 28-9 victory over Stoneham in the Division VI championship. He plays both basketball and football for St. Mary's, but chose to focus on football as he continues his education. 2 Lynn Tech football players also signed letters of intent to play for Curry College. Tyler David and Michael Monbleu will play for the Division III program beginning next fall as defensive players and roommates. The Lynn Tech girls basketball team advanced to 14-6 with a 52-44 win against the Minutemen and a 53-39 victory over Chelsea. On senior night, they beat city rival Kipp Academy 49-26. The boy Panthers handed the Minutemen a 50-point defeat 91-41. They are now 16-3 overall and 11-1 in their conference. 13th seeded St. Mary's boys basketball beat 11th ranked Burke 61-50 at home. Spartan Nick Sacco led the way with a double-double, 24 points and 12 rebounds. With this win, they moved to 11-5. On senior night, they had a high-scoring victory, 92-70 versus St. John's Prep. Senior Omri Merriman took full advantage of the night, scoring 31 points, including 7 3-pointers. They then beat Bishop Feehan handily, 77-48, on their home court. The Spartans girls basketball team stomped Bishop Fenwick, 72-39. Both teams have 1,000-point scorers, with Nia Morgan representing the Spartans. She scored 25 points and helped them build a 38-18 lead by halftime. Their 15-game winning streak was then snapped when Bishop Feehan beat them 58-51. Nonprofit, how it started, and their future events. Here is the lowdown. Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on the president and founder of North Shore Juneteenth Association, Nicole McClain. Thanks for coming on.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Of course. So I'll just start, I'm going to jump right in. What made you decide to found this organization? Like, when did you do so?
Well, it was an idea that I had in 2015. And I was just, mulling it around, like we should have a Juneteenth celebration in Lynn or somewhere on the North Shore. And then 2016 came and my son was accosted by the police department. So I was like, Black Americans have been going through this type of stereotyping for a long time. And we need to show our positive contributions, things that we have done that are positive in our community and in the country as a whole, so that hopefully educating people will stop them from believing that Black Americans or people of color in general deserve to be mistreated. So the Juneteenth Festival became a way to start that conversation. So that's what I started it, because I wanted to dispel stereotypes, and I also wanted to share Black American culture with our community.
Because American culture is so rich, so extensive.
Oh my goodness, there's so much stuff I don't even know. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I mean, there was a presentation the other day at City Hall, some of the history, and I don't know half of this, and it's so fascinating.
It is. It is. I learn something new all the time.
You do. And for Juneteenth, could you talk a little bit about that specific celebration? Because I actually learned a lot more about it last year, because I didn't know much about it.
Yeah, so the holiday is about the emancipation of Black Americans. And in Texas, there was a group, well, the last group of Black Americans, not completely the last, but one of the last groups of Black Americans, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, learned about their freedom. And then when they were told, they wanted to celebrate. So that was June 19th, 1865. So they wanted to celebrate, they were happy, they were excited, but they were still met with some resistance, of course, from people that wanted to continue white supremacy and slavery and all that. So they weren't really able to celebrate until 1867. So the first Juneteenth celebration happened 1 year after they had learned about their freedom, which was 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So, yeah. And surprisingly, there were 250,000 enslaved Black Americans in Galveston, Texas at that time, because they were, enslavers were bringing their enslaved people to that area because, they were trying to escape the Union Army. So people were bringing, their enslaved people to places far south so that they could hide and not be, notified or made to free their enslaved people.
Right. Of course. So I went to the celebration last year. It was amazing.
Yeah.
The history, the flag raising. Because you don't just do it in Lynn. You have events all across the North Shore as well. Yeah,
well, flag raisings across the North Shore, and we're happy that to partner with Gloucester. Last year we partnered with them, and they had their second Juneteenth celebration, and this year we're partnering with them again. So it's exciting to know that we're spreading this holiday across the North Shore. We have flag raisings. We had 12 flag raisings in 12 different cities or towns in the North Shore as well. So it's very exciting. We hope to add 2 more. Danvers reached out to us, and maybe Nahat, I'm thinking, will be doing to add, you know. Yeah.
And that's fantastic. In addition to that, you do so many events. You're just everywhere.
Right. In addition, that's true. In addition to all the craziness of June, we do things probably like once a month at this point. And that's exciting too, because the North Shore Juneteenth Association began as Lynn Juneteenth Committee, you know, because that's all we were going to do was just have celebrations in Lynn. And then when that situation happened with my son, it was like more of a wider mission. So it's exciting to see it actually becoming so big, so much bigger than what we originally thought it would be.
And it's incredibly popular, incredibly beneficial. And you just did a Black Excellence display in City Hall too, as well.
Yeah, I love highlighting the local Black Americans that we have here as a part of the, you know, Black History Month celebration, because I feel like we're standing on the shoulders of all those people that, you know, dreamed of being what we're being right now. Like sitting here across from you, that's something that an enslaved Black American wouldn't have been able to do before. So it's like all the things that they fought for, we're able to benefit from today. So, you know, celebrating people like Danica Thurston or, you know, Ina Howard Hogan and, you know, people that are just doing great things in their communities is important so that we can all see that. I mean, I had one of the local Black Excellence those recognized, I believe it was Ronette. She came over to me and was like, I did not realize how many of us, you know, seeing the pictures of everybody, you know what I mean? And there's more. Oh. There's so many more, like it's unbelievable. So I feel like that brings a sense of pride. Yeah.
It definitely does. And in some of the upcoming months, what are some other events that you have? Like you do a 5K, Hats and Heels one.
Hats and Heels Tea. We have the Hats and Heels Tea coming up on May 13th, and that's going to be in Salem this year. We usually have it in the Lynn Museum, but it was already taken, so we're going to be doing it at the Hawthorne Hotel this year. We have an amazing keynote speaker, former Mayor of Boston, Kim Janey, is going to be speaking at that event. So come out May 13th. The tickets are almost ready. They're not on sale yet, but they will be soon. I'll let everybody know. So that's going to be happening in Salem. And then we have this weekend the Family Friendly Paint event happen at Galleries at Lynn Arts on 25 Exchange Street. And people are going to come out and paint the Juneteenth flag and learn more about the symbolism behind the flag, the holiday, and also be introduced to a little-known Black American artist and have some lunch. And that's a free event, but registration is required for that one, but it's free. Yeah.
Free events are always good.
Yeah, you know, and free food, right? You don't got to pay for lunch, come and paint, learn some Black history.
I will never complain about free food. I do. I love learning about the history. Being a history minor in college, I love it.
Really?
I was.
Okay.
I was one of the rare people. Everyone looked at me like, "Wait, you were a history minor?" I'm like, "Yes, I know."
Right.
But I do. It's so fascinating.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, talking about becoming a member of Juneteenth Association, I saw a little bit on your website, but would you be able to give a little more detail on it?
Yeah, we are always looking for members. So there's annual membership, which is only $18.65, and then we have our sustaining membership, which is $186.50, and then we have corporate membership, which is $1,865, and that's usually like, you know, businesses. We're looking for banks. ECCF right now is one of our corporate members. So if you become a member, you get our newsletter every month. You're also offered opportunities to volunteer with the organization. You get also a little bit of a preview of our events before everybody else gets them. So that's also something that our annual members are able to take advantage of. And then the sustaining members are able to have somebody from Juneteenth come to their organization or come to their, you know, whatever function and speak about Juneteenth itself. And they also are offered some freebies as well. They're all listed on the website. So there's benefits that come with each membership level. So definitely go on our website, take a look. Become a member. That helps us sustain our mission and continue to do all the things that we do in the community.
And it's beneficial for both parties, like you said. Right. They get the opportunities to volunteer, they get exposure, but then you also do as well, because you can go to their events, talk about Juneteenth, so it's very...
Absolutely, it's very, I guess, a symbiotic relationship, I guess you could say.
That's the word. It wasn't coming to me. But it does. It's a fantastic organization, and I give you so much credit for starting it, because I wouldn't even know where to begin with that.
We're always happy to see you, because you come to a lot of our events to take footage and, make sure we're proud members of LCTV, so we're happy that you guys come and cover our events for us, and we're happy to see you often, Dani, at each thing that we do. So thank you for your support.
You're very welcome. We love supporting local organizations, nonprofits, because there's so many, and you all do such fantastic things.
That's one thing about Lynn. We do have a lot of great organizations here.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have such great ones, and I'll thank you again for coming on to talk about yours a little bit.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And once again, this has been the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Now, the community calendar. Thursday, February 23rd, there will be a tribute to State Rep Pete Capano, taking place at the Lynn Museum from 6 to 8 p.m. Come by to celebrate Capano. He was first elected back in 2019 and represents the 11th Essex District of Massachusetts. The Lynn Senior Center will be holding a celebration recognizing the Dominican Republic's Independence Day, held from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 27th at the Lynn Senior Center, 37 Friend Street. Come by to join in the festivities. The first week of March, on Saturday the 4th, there will be the second annual Sweet Sadie Benefit Concert, hosted by the Knights of Columbus at 177 Linfield Street from 7 to 9 p.m. It will be a rock and roll concert, and tickets are $25, with donations also being accepted. The concert was founded in memory of Sarah McIsaac and helps raise money for Sweet Sadie's Difference Makers. They seek to increase access to educational and recreational opportunities for those with disabilities. To learn more about the events mentioned and all events on our community calendar, go to lyntv.org. That is all for this week's news. Follow us on social media at Lynn Community Television to stay up to date on all the latest happenings in the city. Also, subscribe to Lynn Community Television on YouTube to watch our videos, interviews, and shows. Visit lyntv.org for updates, press releases, and more, all for free. I'm Dani Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.